All right, everybody, welcome to Agents of Recovery. I'm Scott Jones, along with my friend Vernon Jones. And Vernon, we're going to be doing this show, Agents of Recovery, and it's about everything from addiction recovery, fugitive recovery, property recovery. How about life recovery? Just getting your life back on track, right?
Isn't it funny how all of these type of things tie in? We see all the time. Someone that has a problem with addictions, they're going to probably have problems with their property, maintaining their bills. Some of them are going to have criminal issues, civil issues, traffic issues.
Yeah.
It all blends together.
It really does, and that's why it makes sense. And you and I have been friends for a little bit, and we wanted to do this show. But it makes sense because, I mean, statistics are saying, let's talk about crime for a minute.
Okay.
Nearly 80% of all criminal offenses involve alcohol or drugs in one way or another.
Correct.
Either they are drunk and high when they committed the crime, they commit the crime in order to get more drugs. There's somehow it's involved. Those numbers sound about right?
I'm thinking those numbers are a little low. But
little low. It's possible they are.
But it's possible. But I think it's a great number. It gives us a good basis.
Yeah.
And then when you look at it from a property standpoint, those who are also having problems maintaining their bills for whether it's a farm tool or a car or a boat or even a jet, and of course even a car, which is the most typical, they're dealing with some other type of problem. And they all seem to coincide more often than people even come to realize.
Right.
So as recovery agents, no matter what type of recovery, we see these 2 to 3 worlds, if you will, juxtapositioning more than we care to understand.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the real... It's the real indication of where these things can take you. That possibly addiction or even just involvement with drugs or alcohol on an abusive level. Sooner or later, everybody ends up in some sort of trouble. If they don't come and deal with me to deal with their addiction, sooner or later, they will be dealing with you.
And sometimes you never know. They start dealing with me, and then to try to help them, we send them and hope that the judge or the court's magistrate or the family, maybe even the defendant themselves, will turn to trying to cope with the problem on their own. And if not, sometimes they're forced to deal with it or deal with the more harsh penalties such as jail or prison time. Right, exactly. Now, one of the things I know you've done, and we have to nod to our sponsor for the show, which is Addiction Training Center. And Addiction Training Center trains people in many aspects of dealing with both mental health and substance abuse addiction. But one of the big things that they do is the intervention training. And you took this training. You became a certified event interventionist through ATC, didn't you? Correct. Christina and I, who, of course, obviously she's my partner in so many different ways. We took the class.
Yeah, let's say hi to Christina because
she's with baby Aurora right now.
Okay, all right.
So I got a pass. And unfortunately, part of the job is dealing with knowing what we're dealing with. But when we took the class, it came after we met through other realms, through the bail bonds world.
Right.
And different other folks. I'm not sure if we're going to mention their names, but some good folks and some folks that have done some good things for the industries. And it brought us all together. And then from there, there were folks in our class who dealt with canines. There were folks who came after our class who were firefighters. There were other folks who were, law enforcement officers. And, of course, you had private investigators. You had other folks who dealt with the social services side. So learning how to intervene properly or with different options, if you will, can make all the difference in the world. And picking up those telltale signs. Because a lot of times it's body language. It's how you sit. It's how you talk. It's your tone.
Now, we've got mutual friends and we've seen some of them. Again, we could talk because we've both been friends and met Dog and seen what he's done with trying to help people and stuff.
And his wife, Beth.
And God bless Beth and everything. And, and we've got our friends. I want to shout outs to people like Michelle Esquinazi, who helped us get started with ATC and really got the ball rolling, and all the other people in the industry, the bond industry. You know these people. But have you had those experiences where, maybe you go in as a bond agent and you're kind of walking out as an interventionist or a social worker?
Social worker,
Yeah.
I was blessed that I came from a world of crime prevention.
Right.
As well as I worked for the Sheriff's Office, a federal task force, and then I did nonprofit work with Youth Crime Watch of America, even as a child. So I got to see things from different perspectives, and those perspectives are what help us all speak to things. I mean, you speak from a perspective of dealing with certain things as well as having to be a parent in certain things.
Yes.
And it happens with all of us. Same thing with Christina and I when we came. We were teasing, I don't know if you remember, we were teasing in the class that it felt like we were going through marriage counseling also at the same time.
Yeah.
I'm looking over at her, she's looking over at me.
There was no extra charge for that, by the way.
But we see these differences, and when you walk out, a lot of times when we go to serve a warrant, if you will, or a failure to appear, we're looking at sometimes a file, a paper, mugshots, a paper trail, hopefully, because unfortunately some bondsmen, they do things out of the goodness of the heart. It might be because we're dealing with someone over the phone, which ties into one of the things that I know you guys are going to be doing some trainings and putting together curriculum for soon, intervention training via phone or possibly via internet or whatever it might be. But we deal with them over the phone at first. We get a phone call from someone asking, please help my loved one or please help me get out of this situation. Get us out of jail. We will follow the rules. We will pay the money. We will sign the paperwork. We will check in weekly, over the phone or in person, whatever the conditions that we set as the bondsman and any additional conditions that the judge or magistrate sets. Now, we got to remember, in the eyes of our social world, they've already messed up at least once and got caught.
Yes.
Okay?
Yeah.
And maybe they were right, maybe they were wrong. We're not the jury, so our job is just to provide them the opportunity to go home to their loved ones. We go through that, and in the process, you have to be able to trust your gut. And that's something that ties into even the biggest and baddest of criminals, as well as the best of law enforcement. You have to trust those instincts, if you will.
Okay.
And in doing that, you're reading people. You're reading body language.
Right.
You're listening to tone. You're seeing how they fidget, how they move, eye contact, non-eye contact. And from there, you determine, okay, you know what? This is someone I can deal with. Because even if they provide us with the 10% in the state of Florida by law, 15% on federal crimes, and in other states, it's 15% if you're a professional bondsman or what they call a property bondsman, you're still taking a risk. Because if you're getting 10%, there's still an additional 90% of the total value of the bond that's out there that we're holding ourselves responsible for, or the courts are holding us responsible for, more importantly. And if they don't do what they're supposed to do, then we're responsible to pay that money. And if we don't pay that money, we must bring the body. And if we don't bring the body...
So let's focus on that just for a moment, because I think a lot of people don't understand how that works.
Oh, yeah.
If somebody their bond is set at $10,000.
Correct. Okay.
And you get a phone call and they say, I want to get out and I want to get bonded out, and you decide this is an appropriate bond for you to take, they would give you how much?
Depends.
They don't give you $10,000.
They don't give us the 10. We wish they did.
Well, that would be great.
But 99.9% time, they don't have it. If they did, they wouldn't need us.
They wouldn't need you. They just pay the court.
They would go to the courts, pay the $10,000, and then at that point, once the case is closed or discharged or the judge or magistrate makes a decision, they'll get their money back minus court costs, any fees, whatever it might be.
Right.
All right. So they give us $1,000, hopefully. Now, remember, in certain states, bonds are at a higher level, like California. So a typical bond in California might be $100,000, but they'll only require 1% down, and then they're going to finance the remaining 9%.
So what you're looking for is 10% is generally what we're looking for.
Is the ideal situation.
That's the
Ideally, we get 10% and we get collateral for the full amount of the bond. I can count the number of times that I get that on two hands.
Right.
Okay,
you never get it.
Just
you get as close as you can get, and then you're going to have to
try. But
so it's gambling for you. You're
exactly right.
You're rolling the dice every time you meet somebody.
There you go. It's a gamble. It's an adrenaline rush. Unfortunately, fortunately, it is a high. It's euphoric at times.
Yeah.
But it can be detrimental. Sureties is what the proper term is, and the surety goes back to 2,400 years before Jesus Christ was born. You can find this in the Bible and in numerous other religious texts as some of the first forms of law enforcement, if you will, for the judges and magistrate. But so we collect hopefully 10%. Now remember, in areas where it's highly competitive, we won't get the whole 10%. We might get up front, call it 5%.
Because the guy down the street from you is going to take, well, I'll do it for 8. Then the next person down the street says, well, I'll do it for 6.
Yeah, well, see, what it is they'll say what they'll do it for, but when they say what they'll do it for, that's the amount that they will collect to get you out. By law, we all have to try
Okay.
I make an attempt to collect the entire 10%.
Okay.
Because anything else would be illegal.
So now let's say you got your 10%, and again we're on a low bond of $10,000 just to make the numbers easy.
So
you get $1,000.
So I have to give the insurance company, if I'm a surety bondsman, their commission for providing us with the paper, as we say.
Right.
So I might have
because they're the ones who are guaranteeing the money.
Yes, after us. See, people have the mistake that, oh well, I didn't go to court, Bondsman Jones. It's no big deal. That's insurance money. Nah, buddy. That's not insurance money. That's my money. That's my kids' money. That's their retirement. That's their Christmas money. That's their trip for us to go to D.C. this year. So when I get that $1,000, I give the insurance company, let's say $150. I get $1,000. $150 goes to the insurance company based on my contract rate.
Yeah.
Then $100 goes into a savings account, which honestly is my retirement for when I leave the industry.
Yeah.
But that retirement is what they turn to when something goes wrong and someone doesn't go to court and I don't catch them in time. My insurance company, they sent me a check for my buff or build-up fund for $5,000 a day. The check came FedEx for me to pay it in court, in the courthouse today, if the motion that we tried or if we didn't catch the defendant in time, because the bond is due today by 4 p.m. So you got to think, I get the pressure of whenever I get a notice in the mail that someone didn't go to court, that either they're going to fix it themselves, I'm going to catch them, the police are going to catch them, or unfortunately something's going to happen to them and I get a death certificate because dead or alive still exists.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just, we don't really want to.
No.
But we've had people who unfortunately have met the demise, sometimes due to overdose. The last one I just submitted was due to an overdose, a heroin overdose. And it was a beautiful young lady that spoke 4 languages.
Wow.
So you have to think, those are the only ways we can get out of not paying the whole $10,000. But let's just say everything works out, but I give the insurance company $150. I put $100 in my savings account. That means I have $750 in my pocket. Now, if an agent, let's say you're one of the bondsmen who works for me, depending upon the commission rate we agree upon, I might hand you $300, $400, even $500 for bringing the bond to me, commission.
Right.
So how much do I make in my pocket? $250, maybe.
Yeah.
That's what I take home. But I'm responsible for the whole $10,000.
But you make $250 for risking $10,000.
There you go.
Now, obviously, it's all cool in the gang. If they show up, they go to court, and everything happens, and then you get to keep yours, and they move on their way. But if they skip, they run, something happens.
Here we go.
The clock
starts ticking.
And that happens.
It happens, and unfortunately, it happens. Some folks, when they get out of jail, they just want a little bit of extra time to get an extra high, or they want to see their mom who's dying. And we get those phone calls. Look, my mom is dying. She's not doing well. I know I'm going to have to go back to jail. Just please give me a chance. I'm going to pay you the money. It's going to give me an extra, 2 months, 3 months before it goes to trial, and they're going to sentence me. I've had people tell me that, and they've held true to the course.
Sure.
And we help them. We, of course, want to put enough restrictions on them so that we feel comfortable in knowing that they're going to follow the rules. But we also get folks who say, well, I'll do what you need. And as soon as they walk out the jail, they don't call you. They don't check in. They don't finish their paperwork. If you put them on a payment plan, they don't pay you the rest of their money. And at that point in time, we have to do our due diligence. And if we don't, we pay all that money.
Now, bounty hunters and bail agents, 2 totally different things.
Yes.
Because I want to make sure people understand that. It's not all the same thing.
Correct. In the state of Florida, bounty hunters are technically considered illegal. Okay. In the state of Florida, you have to be a licensed bondsman. A surety agent is the proper term.
And then you would have to act as your own so-called bounty hunter, a recovery agent.
We provide our own recovery.
Okay.
Because in the state of Florida, the Department of Financial Services, which is the equivalent to the insurance department or insurance commission, they frown upon that term, bounty hunter. But
it's picked up a bad connotation in a lot of places, unfortunately.
And Dog and Beth did what they could to help bring it to the forefront, in a good light. We've had numerous movies. Ice Cube did one filmed in Miami, all about the Benjamins.
Yes. There
have been numerous. Now, wait. The Mandalorian on the Disney Plus channel. What is he? He's a bounty hunter.
That's a Star Wars thing. Yeah.
And we've had bounty hunters throughout the course of history as folklore for many, many years.
Yeah.
But Florida is one of those ones that are like, So Florida wants us to be a licensed bondsman, and then we as bondsmen have the rights through a federal law back in 1874, Taylor versus Taylor, that gives us the right to, if you will, hunt or rearrest someone based on them violating terms of the bond agreement. That, as well as some Florida state statutes.
Okay.
So,
all right, but the roles are different. When you assume that role, you're in recovery. Yeah. So if you're in other states, you may have the bail agent, and if somebody has disappeared,
yes,
you would call a bounty hunter and say,
or a private investigator,
to go find this person.
Correct. Okay. And in some states, the bondsman has to. For a bondsman in some states to be able to rearrest, they have to take additional classes, additional courses, be certified to avoid problems.
Well, that's an interesting thought. Is somebody does skip out, and all of a sudden their court date comes up and they're nowhere to be found.
Correct.
Do you lose everything right then and there, or do you have a window of time to try to get them back?
Florida, we get 60 days. Most other states, they get 120 days. Florida is the shortest state. If you will,
and it's one of the bigger states. Thank you very much.
Do a substantial amount of work. So you have to think there are no bounty hunters by law. So there's no one who just hunts for the bail industry.
Right.
In other states, they have people that all they do is hunt for bondsmen. So a bounty hunter, recovery agent, gets hired by a bondsman to find someone on their behalf. Florida, no. You're a bondsman, and hopefully you're a bondsman who becomes specialized or comfortable in rearresting, if you will, or hunting or apprehending your own fugitives. And there's laws with us, so we can get in a lot of trouble. But it makes it interesting because, like you said, we get to do both sides. We get to be the social worker. We get to, to make the feel good of, I felt good helping someone go home, and be with their family and friends. It's just when they don't do what they're supposed to do, and we don't know where they go. That's when it turns into something else.
Let's bring a little reality into this, if we will, Vernon. If we had to break it up into percentage of your time spent, how much of your time is spent kicking indoors and running through yards as opposed to doing paperwork, talking on the phone, and just generally office work?
That's a tough one because My roles have changed as I grew. When I first came into the industry, everyone knew I was going to be a pickup guy is what the common term is. I got pretty good, got pretty popular. Then I started writing more and more bail. It kind of worked out that way. Sometimes I would arrest people, and after I put them in jail, they're sending me their friends, say, hey, he's a good dude, but do your paperwork, do what you're supposed to do, go to court. If not, he'll come get you. So if you will, it goes back to just customer service, how you treat people, even after the arrest or rearrest. And my percentage right now, I'm not sure because I became a managing general agent. So now I oversee 10 to 15 other agencies and then their agents under them.
So I guess I want people to have the impression that it's not always that action, Starsky and Hutch kind of movement and stuff. There's probably a whole lot more of the, okay, let me fill this out. All right, let me call this person. There's probably a whole lot more of that.
Especially when you're a small mom and pop. Because a lot of bondsmen, they're people from the community. They're friends you went to school with. I've bonded out students of mine who used to take karate from me, kids I've coached in football, kids I've coached in baseball, their parents, even their grandparents, the lawn women around me. I bonded out ex-girlfriends, kids.
Oh, that's fun.
Oh yeah. But it's just that's the way life goes.
Yeah.
And it's because they trust you. There's some type of rapport, relationship, and they know you're not going to do them wrong. And hopefully, you know that they're not going to do you wrong. I've had a couple of those same people that have not done what they're supposed to do. Kind of hid in one payment plans until the case was closed. Couple that I've had to put back in custody. But I've also had family that I've bonded out, and that's interesting.
Yeah, I would imagine. I would imagine.
Yeah, but I've got family that right away they say, you know what? Family named Boo. Boo, here's your money. You did such and such in the families. They were going to be sitting right here until you come to do paperwork, and they will check in every week because we're not going to play with you or those kids. As we say, your baby's money.
Yeah.
Or your reputation and your license. So we don't get all the action that people might think, but it's a possibility you could have it. But when we get clients to understand and comprehend what the ramifications are and what they do, give them a set pattern. And if we stay on top of them quickly so that if we see they didn't check in 1 week and by 2 or 3 days later, we're calling them. And if we can't get a hold of them via call or text, okay, 2 or 3 days after that, we're going to make a visit.
Right.
So if we can stay on top of them, if we are proactive instead of being more reactive, then normally it's not that bad.
And that's really probably the key to your success is having that communication with them and not just sitting on it and saying, well, I'll see them when I see them. I mean, you want to make sure that they're out there doing the right things.
Technically, if you read the law, it even says we can be held accountable. If you read the old federal, Taylor versus Tainter, 1870, is it 1872 or 74? But it talks about it.
So if they go out there and if they do something wrong, they're kind of under your watch. And why weren't you paying attention, right?
Yes.
It kind of falls that way.
Yes.
That is tough. Now, listen, I've worked in the addiction industry and, of course, with Addiction Training Center and working to try to make change because change has to happen, my friend.
Yes.
Change in the addiction industry. And I know that the bond industry has been going through massive changes and has been under fire by different legislatures and different states. What needs to change? What is going on?
Well, part of the problem is the misconception, if you will, of why we do what we do, and that folks think that an algorithm or a math equation can substitute a real life person having to sit across from someone to figure out if they're going to go to court or not. And they utilize things called pretrial now and other programs like that. And I totally get it. They're trying to relieve the burden, if you will, upon the family with having to pay someone commercially for bail. But if you look at history, it goes all the way back to them sometimes providing anything from fish to their farm.
Right.
To just work. Because that is what keeps someone honest. Sweat equity.
Yeah.
When you have to provide money you've earned or sweated for, or things you farmed, you are more inclined to do right. Than if you just sign on a piece of paper and just can go on your way.
Because you don't feel any culpability, you don't feel any responsibility towards anything. But when your own stuff is on the line, when your own hard work is on the line,
correct,
you are more likely to toe the line and do what you're supposed to do. I get that. Yeah. We look for those angles in addiction treatment as well. It's like we have to connect them to these are the things you could lose if you do not do this.
Yes.
If you do not find a way to get better. We have to connect them to these losses that they're going to have.
And when you look at bail, you have to think there's someone who's the person who you're bringing out of jail as well as the person who signs, the co-signer, the indemnitor, which a lot of times I'm sure those are parents and different people like that. Loved ones, things along those lines.
And these people can be hurt.
Yes, they can be hurt. It's more emotional a lot of times than anything else. Of course, you can get the other side of it where you might get the girlfriend that signed to the boyfriend to get out of jail. She finds out he's cheating on her, and guess what? Now she wants to revoke his bond. So then we have to kind of play social worker.
Can we put it out there? If you've been dating a guy for 3 months and he needs you to bail him out, look for someone else.
They should give some thought before.
3 months.
I mean, I've seen girlfriends and boyfriends, and girlfriends of girlfriends. They've posted $100,000 bonds, $200,000 bonds.
Wow.
Put up their houses, put up their cars, retirement funds.
That can end badly.
I'm looking at one right now, and they're looking to put up their it's a $500,000 bond, and they're looking to put up their retirement, their house, and their sister's house. Oh, yes.
Wow.
But it's look, if it works out great and it's love, and that's fine. But you
that's
remember,
scary though.
Yeah,
that is scary.
Yeah, it is. But hey,
so again, this goes back a long ways. Mm-hmm. I do believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, I do believe that there has to be a better social responsibility with some agents that they may not have burdened or carried.
Correct.
That, maybe you need to be a little more involved in putting them on the right path, and that might change the perception of the bail industry as well. That's one of the things we're doing with the intervention programs and the things that you're doing with your clients.
And we're trying to make not just our clients, but our other agencies underneath us understand that we're holding them more socially or as an organization, because we created a nonprofit also, to hold them more responsible.
Yeah.
And that they have to understand there's other things that they can do other than just signing the money, collecting the money, and then going from here.
Absolutely.
And it helps us all. It ties into retention, it ties into intervention, it ties into prevention. Because at the end of the day, they don't want to lose sleep over someone not going to court. And had they intervened a little differently, there might have been a completely different outcome.
We could spend all day talking about, both you and I, about tragedies that we've experienced and seen with people. Let's take a moment, though, and talk about a success story. Or has there been any that have stuck with you that have said, this is why I need to be not just an agent, but I need to be a mentor. I need to be, an agent of change. Exactly.
Let me give you one from Monroe County. It's a young lady. I bonded her out. Okay, it was a decent-sized bond. And some counties, their bond schedule, the bail schedule is very high compared to the others.
Sure.
All right, so their bail schedule in that county is pretty high, and it's the county where I used to work for the sheriff's office when I was in a high-intensity drug trafficking task force back in the early 90s.
Okay.
So I've known of the sheriff's office. I've had some good times down there, had some problems down there too, and it comes with anything, any community you worked in. So I ended up bonding the young lady out, and I met her at a Popeyes when they came up to do paperwork. She started off okay. She did her paperwork. She was with another girl. The other girl was unfortunately a known prostitute. They were both drug addicts. Now, this young lady out of the Keys had a great job. She worked part-time for a law firm. She has various insurance certifications. Mm-hmm. So she was doing things, and then she got addicted. The top drug down there are what they call blues. And they do everything from synthetic heroin down there, unfortunately heroin, cocaine, and now Molly. And it's the new Molly. It's not MDMA. It's a new Molly that right now ATF and not ATF, DEA as well as everyone else, Customs and Border Patrol, they haven't totally categorized it properly yet. So there are folks going into drug court or family court now, and they're high on Molly, and it's not being detected.
Wow.
It's the new Molly. So they're walking in high, smiling in front of the judge, getting tested.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
So either way, it's a new synthetic drug. It's like I feel like I'm watching an episode of Breaking Bad with this stuff.
Right.
But she goes and she messed up. We had to go down there. I found her, and at that time, it was in February, so it's right after my father's, unfortunately, his death. So I'm down there for multiple reasons. One, because there are people just not doing their job. And regardless of what I was going through personally, I had a responsibility to the courts as well as the communities to take these people back off the streets and return them back to custody.
Yeah.
Because remember, if I leave them on the streets, I'm allowing them to do more damage. And that's wrong also. So there's still a responsibility from a professional standpoint. So when we went down and we did a sweep, and almost all the people we swept up were all women, fortunately, unfortunately. We arrested probably about 8 people, returned 5 of them back to custody. The other 3, it was just basic either misunderstanding, non-communications. They had moved.
Yeah, things happen. Sure.
Things happen.
Yeah.
So in those cases, but this young lady we put back in custody, and once we put her back in custody, she sat for like a month or 2 months. During that time, the young lady who I told you who also was from the Keys died from an overdose. Okay. And I had that young girl in the backseat of my car in handcuffs, and she gave me the good song and dance. I ended up letting her go, hoping, thinking that she was going to do right, and she ended up overdosing about a week or so later. So for that one, that sits in my heart forever. Yeah. It's going to always. This other young lady, she ended up coming out. We ended up doing a rewrite or a rebond. They changed the charge, so it wasn't a total rewrite. I think we lost a little money on it, but she seemed as though everything was changed. As of right now, she's back to working for the law firm. She's been clean, I think, almost 11 months. The judge is down there, and the drug rehab, program down there, she drops 3 times a week, and 1 time random. She's been clean 11 months now. 11 months. She's doing extremely well. She's in the process of getting her children back. She's working on housing on her own. She got her driver's license. Like, that's a big thing.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't realize how many people dealing with these problems, they lose their driver's license at some point in time along the way, and it kind of snowballs.
Yeah.
And turns into another problem. But she's got her driving. She doesn't have a car, but she's working on that. I think her brother might actually give her one of his cars, an old car. She's been working on little things, credit, repair. She's focusing, and some of that came from things we talked to her about. We talked to her about, hey, what is your credit score looking like? I don't know. I haven't looked at my credit in I don't know how long. Okay, start the process. Credit Sesame, Credit Karma, start disputing things, look to see what's there. That's, once again, the counseling side of it. Housing, work. We talked to her about everything from bank accounts. She hadn't had a bank account in I don't know how long. There's just so much. So right now, she's one of our success stories.
How do you know all of this, that she's doing all of this? Are you staying in touch with this person?
We stay in touch. She reaches out. A lot of them find us on social media. They stay in touch with us. One thing she did realize is that social media was part of the problem.
Okay.
So she has absolutely no social media. She hasn't connected her Facebook. She hasn't connected anything because she feels as though too many people spend too much time on it. And she knows she used to. And it just, for some folks, it just starts too many problems.
Yeah.
So she's just been trying to keep her nose to the ground. She tries to work. She goes home. She deals with her grandma, and she goes. So
does this story like this motivate you to keep doing what you're doing? I mean, do you ever get frustrated one day and then you have to look back at this and say, this is why I do it?
Yeah. It's actually those two young ladies. The
tragedy and the success. Yeah.
So that gives me my two extremes. Yeah. I had them both in handcuffs. One, I let go, and she ended up dead. The other one, we put back in jail. We ended up bonding her back out.
Yeah.
She's come out, and she's been clean and on the straight and narrow now for almost a year. And it was both within that same period of time where I had a personal tragedy going on, but I still decided and continued to do my job. And for you, I know that's the same thing. How many days do you come in to deal with intervention things and God knows whatever you have going on at home with family?
Yeah, you deal with people who are suffering with addiction and people who just are so wrapped up in it that they can't see a way out, or they don't want to see a way out. Right. And you get frustrated, and sometimes you look at him, you're just like, why don't you just hear me? Is this really what you want?
It's like you're just gonna shake them.
You're sitting in a corner crying, but don't you know that you can change this? It's not me, it's not anybody else, it's you.
Yeah.
So sometimes, I do. It's probably once or twice a week I quit and I say, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm sure you do the same thing. You just kind of, that's it, I'm done. I'm done. I'm going to go buy a McDonald's. I'm going to go do something, And then I have a moment and I think, well, what about this and what about that? And these successes, and yes, even some of the tragedies, that if I'm not doing it, there's going to be more of those tragedies.
Yeah.
If I'm not involved.
The old starfish story.
Exactly.
That's it.
Exactly. It matters to that one. And for everyone, we lose people all the time. You and me both, my friend. Mm-hmm. We have people that just go in the wrong direction.
And you can't save them all.
But for everyone that is saved, that's someone's son or daughter, mother, father, brother, sister, husband, wife. It's somebody. It's important. And if you save one person in an entire lifetime, if each of us save one person in our lifetime, think about how much change that can happen. Don't think you got to save everybody. You can't.
No.
But if you stop trying, game over.
And, there's some folks who just are never going to try. So, okay, if I make up for 2, 3, or 4 other people who never saved one, and if I get to save 5, awesome.
Yeah. And there's, I don't know if you get, I'm sure you get people coming up all the time saying, oh, you got to thank you. And I want you, can I buy you a pizza? Can I do something?
Yeah, sometimes it's crazy because I get them to come up to me while I'm with my kids or, and then I get some of them that after I've put them in jail, I'm on social media and I try to be active. And some folks are like, man, I wouldn't show my kids on social media. You arrest people for a living. I'm like, why? If I arrest someone, it's because they messed up again.
Yeah.
I'm not hiding my children. I want these people to see when they don't do right, or if they do run, or if they don't, they're stealing from my children.
Exactly.
And it's my children that'll be affected, and I'm trying to help them get back to theirs if they have them, and a large percent of them do.
Yeah. And I ask, sometimes people come up and they're like, well, can I do this for you, or can I give you a present?
Mm-hmm.
And I say, no, just pay it forward.
Yeah.
One day you're going to be standing in front of somebody who needs your help. Mm-hmm. And you want to pay me back, don't turn them away. Help them. And that's how things are changed. I would love to see both of us out of business, my friend. I would love the day when you don't have to deal with crime, I don't have to deal with addiction, and the two of those don't come together in some amalgam of insanity, which is what usually happens. Yes. I would love the day when we don't have anything to do but sit here and do our podcast. I would love that day.
Yeah, new podcast on.
But it's not going to happen.
Shirts and painting. 80s movies.
80s movies. There you go. The Last Dragon. There you go.
Dragon. Who's the master?
All right. We're going to have a lot of these shows to come. I encourage people, share this with your friends. Leave comments when you see the show. Let us know what you'd like us to talk about. We'll be doing some live shows and having some call-ins. And, of course, all of this is being brought to you by Addiction Training Center. Addiction Training Center, if you want to get involved, help other people, learn to become an interventionist, or if you need some information about getting help for somebody that you know has a problem, give us a call, 833-254-1234. Good number, right?
Good number.
833-254-1234. Call Addiction Training Center. We also want to thank Broadcast Beat Studios. What do you think of the studios here?
I love the studio. Now, I've been running from doing like podcasts and things for years, but I might want to start thinking about it more often now.
Well, a lot of times you see people, I got a podcast, you look, and it's like they're sitting in their kitchen table, and they got they got their little laptop, and it's like, God bless you guys. That's great that you do that, but here, a fully functioning professional studio right here in Fort Lauderdale. There's nothing like this in South Florida. TV capabilities, commercials, internet podcasting, audio visual. They'll come to you. Everything is all right here. They just check it out. BroadcastBeatStudios.com. You can check it out. Hey, if you're interested in being a part of our show, you can come in and join us too. But
let them come in. It'll be fun. It'll be fun.
We've got a lot to talk about, so stay tuned for future episodes of Agents of Recovery. For now, for Vernon Jones, I'm Scott Jones, and we're saying, hey, stay out of trouble, take care of yourselves, and take care of the person next to you.